everyone, Mrs. Garman here. Hopefully you've already watched my 2x2 guide video and have solved your 2x2 at least 10 times. And then you hopefully have gotten to solving the 3x3 and you've done it at least 10 times. And hopefully you are ready maybe to start the 4x4. I remember the first time I picked this one up and it is definitely intimidating and it definitely took me a long time, but that was because I really didn't have somebody explaining to me exactly what to do. So I'm hoping that I can give you guys some tips and information on how to solve the 4x4. It's a little overwhelming, like I said, when you are looking at the guide, but this guide does exist online and I can link that below. But I'm going to go ahead and try to get you guys started on solving the 4x4. So I'm going to go ahead and mix it up, and that means just kind of turning it whichever way until you feel like it's super mixed up. So like I see these whites together, I'm trying to separate all of those, get everything nice and mixed up. I see a bunch of orange together, I'm going to start flipping those. There's no rhyme or reason to mixing it up. Going in different directions with the different layers until it gets nice and mixed. So the guide should be really helpful. Like I do recommend still reading it. It talks about getting to know this cube, which I'll tell you a little bit about. But this really is, there's tips for success. There are getting to know your Rubik's Master. It's a little different than the 3x3 because sometimes you're moving one piece at a time and sometimes like one layer. Sometimes you're moving 2 layers at a time. Sometimes you might just have to move like this one middle layer, which I kind of just did that in one move, but I usually actually make it 2 moves. If I'm trying to move this layer, I typically move that like 2 moves. I want to move both and then move this one back. So that's just like my way of doing it. That doesn't mean it's the right way. Some people just like to move one move, but I don't know why that seems a little hard for me. So anyway, so sometimes I'll be seemingly making 2 moves, but I'm really just moving 1 layer. So let's go ahead and move to kind of our first step. The one thing that is really tricky about this cube, let me go back to, okay, so this is getting to know your cube, and this is solving the centers. Okay, so what is tricky about this is that it's not like your 3x3 where you knew what edge or what face each was. So this is the white face because the center is white. This is the blue face because the center is blue. This is the red, and so on. With this, if you look in the middle, I have 4 colors. So what makes this a little bit more tricky is that you actually have to make each of the sides. I can pick any side, actually, it doesn't matter. I could say, I want this to be the white face. I would maybe make this the white face because I already have 2 there, but in reality, I need to get 2 right next to each other, not diagonal anyway. So it really doesn't matter. I can make this the white face. What's tricky is that if I'm making this the white face, that means I have to make this the yellow face. If you remember, in all of the cubes, the white face and the yellow face are always opposite of one another. Same thing with green. Let's find green. Is always going to be opposite of blue. Red will always be opposite of orange. So you have to place the white edges on top and the yellow on the bottom, and then you will have to, for some reason I do it in this order, I go blue and then I turn it this way and go red and then green and then orange. You have to place those in the correct order. What I find people do is they're like, yay, I finally got all of the edges, but they have yellow here and they have white here. Well, you're never going to have yellow and white next to each other. You're going to have white on top and yellow on bottom. So the first part is getting all of your edges in the correct place, and that's going to be in my next video, but that at least gives you some information to start. If you want to use the guide for that, you can, or I will give you guys some tips and pointers.